Good evening, and thank you for joining us both in person and virtually. My name is Yvette Juarez, and I am a junior at Pritzker College Prep. As a newly elected Chicago Debate Student Council member, I am honored to be here today. Thank you to welcome you to this inaugural Impact Showcase. This showcase is the first of many, where Chicago Debates will transparently share about the impact of debate. I can firsthand say how much debate has impacted me. Growing up, I discovered I wanted to work in law and politics, so I joined debate to prepare for my future career. I began debating back in 2019 in my freshman year. However, my sophomore year was truly one of the hardest yet most rewarding years in debate. On one hand, because of the pandemic, we had to debate via Zoom, which was very hard to get used to. And on the other hand, I didn't have a stable partnership, which led me to go maverick most of my tournaments. It taught me discipline, perseverance, and confidence in myself. It became a safe haven for me in a world that was constantly changing in front of my eyes. I soon became a coach for other mobile network schools, a few which have joined Chicago debates and have been performing very well in the Red Conference. I also had the opportunity to go to the Northwestern debate camp and judge other debaters. My love and commitment to debate has just grown. Debate is something I am deeply passionate about and hope to continue for years to come. Tonight's showcase is also a celebration, kicking off Chicago Debate's 25-year anniversary. This is a monumental milestone, which dates back to 27 years when in 1995 a small group of business and civic leaders, led by Illinois Supreme Court Justice Seymour Seaman, held a belief that was followed by a life-changing idea. The group realized that Chicago debate students didn't have the same access to debate as their suburban peers and believed that they should also benefit from a life-changing activity. So they founded the Chicago Debate Commission. Starting small in a partnership with Chicago Public Schools in 1997, Chicago Debates began its program with 35 students from 5 high schools. Pre-COVID, Chicago Debates have served over 1,700 students, earning them the title of the largest urban policy debate league in the country. In their 25 years of history, Chicago Debates have served now 20,000 students. That is quite an accomplishment, and thank you to all the donors who have made this possible. We have an engaging and impactful program for you this evening. Not only will you have an opportunity to see debate programming in action, Chicago Debates will highlight the data and innovative and equitable the German approach that they take to ensure that students like me continuously have access to quality, innovative, and equitable programs to support our academic, social, emotional, career, and leadership success. You will also get a preview into Chicago Debate's future plans to serve more students at more Chicago public schools. I don't know about you, but I am beyond excited that more of my peers will have access to this transformational activity. We hope that you will enjoy tonight's program, and thank you for joining us. Here's to celebrating 25 years.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you, everyone. Solving a quick technical issue here. Just wanting to make sure those who are joining us virtually are able to see us. So thank you to those who are both in person and those joining us virtually. All right. So I'm excited to dive into our impact report. Many of you have one of those beautiful reports on your table, but we'll walk you through some really impressive data as we highlight our year. From a macro level, I think it's important to understand from our perspective how successful our debate year was in the year 2021. We were really grateful through the hard work of our entire organization, as well as our volunteers, our coaches, and our debaters to serve over 1,000 students from across 66 schools, providing over 700 hours of coach support. And while remaining true to our mission, we continue to work to ensure that debate remained accessible to our Title I schools, as well as to students of color. Now, we did that through a multiplicity of ways and methods to understand how our program was impacting our students. And I really want to highlight one. Traditionally, or at least before 2021, the organization did not have the ability to reach students directly, which I know you say, well, why is that possible? Or how is that possible? We weren't collecting student data, and we would have to go through our coaches to get that information. And we tried to roll a student application out during the 2019-20 school year. And because this was the first time we ever done something like that, and a little lack of buy-in, we weren't able to have a successful rollout that year. But learning from those lessons, we rolled out a successful student application capturing the data of all of our participants, which you'll see why that's important, but it allowed us to really understand our students and where they're going after experiencing debate. We also were tracking our impact through post-survey or post-tournament surveys and year-end surveys, but also through qualitative opportunities, right? Having conversations with our coaches, many of whom are here tonight. It's good to see you all, and relying on the data we receive from our partners at the National Association for Urban Debate Leagues. Now, I want to start intentionally with, I don't want to call it bad news, but we want to start with our challenges. And I think it goes without saying how challenging 2020 and 2021 was. We were kind of really at the tail end of the CPS CTU strike. That was impacting our programming. We had limited access to our students. In that, as I shared previously, we couldn't contact them directly. So that meant if CPS was closed, our program in many ways, the doors were closed for that as well. And then COVID, right? That annoying thing that we've been dealing with for far too long, forced us to really, at the drop of a dime, create a brand new virtual model for providing debate. I'm sure my team can attest to how anxious that made us feel. We did not know what that would look like, but we worked really hard to make sure that students had access to this programming. But I believe that debate also kind of revealed the disparities that we see in our community, and that some of our students who traditionally participated in our programming were not engaging in the way that they traditionally did in the past. Some of our Title I schools did not re-sign up because of capacity issues. They just didn't know if they could actually do it. There were some other programmatic challenges that we faced, specifically as it relates to our coaches. During the year 2019-20, we recognized many of them were judging often too much, which really took away from their ability to coach their teams and really made the experience really challenging. Our volunteers on our part were not as prepared as they could be. And I think that becomes like a snowball, right? So it kind of spills into having some disorganized tournaments and ultimately our coaches not feeling as supported as they should. So as we began to think about what we would do differently this year, we wanted to make sure we provided some solutions that really solve for the challenges that we're facing our students in the midst of COVID, specifically our Title I students when we think about equity and access. So in the midst of a virtual debate season, we started something, we went real old school and gave students the option to call on the telephone to debate, right? They didn't have to jump on Zoom. So if they had a technical issue, they could still participate in the program. We introduced tech time, which basically meant that we did not want to penalize students for, the thing that happens to all of us. Our Wi-Fi randomly just stops, right? Or you can't get in Zoom for some reason. Maybe you didn't update your Zoom, right? Our coaches know what I mean when I say that. And we allow students to turn off their cameras. Now, I know sometimes our judges did not like that, but think about it. Some of our students don't have an office to go to debate. Some of our students didn't have a special quiet room to debate in, right? Maybe it was their living room or their kitchen. So students didn't have to be judged based off of where they were. They could just participate in the activity. We also wanted to think about capacity issues. Now, I think all of us can confess that we all have had Zoom fatigue in 2020, 21, right? Tired of being on Zoom all day. And we wanted to think about how were our students what was their experience like? And we decided at the beginning of the tournament to shorten our tournaments, less rounds, but still give students access. to improve our core files, to make sure that they were more intuitive for our coaches. But most importantly, I think we were really proud that knowing that CPS was using Google Meets as its tool for communicating with students via email, Google Classroom for teaching courses during virtual learning, we decided to build our tournament platform on Google Meets. This was not being done across the country. Most folks were using Zoom and Yotly, but we took the burden. It was a burden. My staff, they know, to create multiple singular Google Meet rooms so that students didn't have to learn something else, right? They could just log into the next Google Meet meeting and continue to engage in debate. Now, for me, I think the highlight of the year was the rollout of our public forum debate. This is new for us. Bob gave me a quick history lesson. I learned that we did pilot it very shortly a few years ago, but we rolled it out again this year, piloting public forum debate really as a tool to help us reach and recruit more students, especially students who we will not be able to meet or we couldn't meet through policy debate because of, if I'm being honest, the lack of appeal. So we wanted a forum that was really approachable for all students, all coaches, and volunteers. It's not just our students. Another thing that I really want to highlight about public forum is that it allows us to have a little ownership, if you would. So in policy debate, we use a national topic, where with public forum, we're using a local topic. We choose a topic that our students in Chicago can connect with, that meets them where they are, and it has really proven to be highly successful. And then the entry point piece is really important too, right? It's harder for a student to jump into debate in the middle of a policy debate season, but in public forum, they can start at any time, which again allows us to reach more students and to meet those students where they are. Now we're thinking about our coaches who really serve as the backbone to our work. They are literally on the front lines. They are the ones who are working with our students directly on a day-to-day basis. And we wanted to make sure that when we heard those challenges about not feeling supported, that we increased our coach support. And we did that by twofold, providing over 756 hours. When they told us that they felt unprepared to coach, or they felt that they needed some refinement, they wanted to sharpen their tools so that they could be better resources to their students. We brought in the top debate minds from Northwestern, from Emory University, from Georgetown to lead coach workshops for us. We held 8 coach workshops to ensure that our coaches were being trained and prepared. And we also wanted to ensure that our coaches knew that the decisions we were making weren't just good ideas, right? We wanted them to feel like our decisions were being informed by their voices. So we implemented a post-tournament survey, which meant that after a survey, if a coach didn't like the way something went, or if they had a better idea, especially in this new virtual world, they could share that with us. Then our team concurrently would meet 2 days after that tournament and begin to figure out how we could implement that change immediately. Now, not that our students and our debaters aren't important, right? But I think it's really key to make sure you guys understand how vital volunteers are to the work that we do. We can have as many students that we want, but if we don't have a volunteer to judge around, students don't have access to debate. And we heard a lot of, we knew we had a lot of challenges as it relates to our judges and our volunteers being prepared, but really just having enough volunteers. One of the good issues that we have at Chicago Debates is we have so many students to serve, which means we needed to find quality volunteers. And we really focused on that. We rolled out a new volunteer platform that allowed us to streamline the sign-up process. We worked to improve our training, allowing volunteers to shadow around before they ever judge one, right? So they didn't walk in there like a deer in the headlights and here's a student speaking at 300 words a minute and you're like, what am I doing, right? So they felt a little experience. We increased our stipends, made judging a little bit more flexible. So if you only had 2 hours to judge, well, we can find a place for you to use your time to impact our students. But I think the most important thing that we did thinking about volunteerism was really capitalizing on the fact that we were virtual, right? For so many years, we had to rely on Chicagoland volunteers who were willing to drive here and drive there to support a tournament. However, we now could pull volunteers from Canada, from California, from Texas, from my hometown of Atlanta, Georgia, so that folks could help our students reach their goals. And I think that was probably the most special part about the year, just watching people from all over the country want to show up and help Chicago students. And as a result, I think we were really happy and elated, shout out to our volunteer and outreach manager, to ensure that 100% of our tournaments were fully staffed. We did not have to cancel a tournament. We didn't have to force coaches to judge more than they wanted to. And I know they were grateful for it. We were as well. Now, I want to kind of shift now and really think about the challenges and the solutions that we put in place, and really take a look at what our coaches, our students, our volunteers had to say about our volunteer or their debate experience for the year. And as we look at the data, a few things pop out to me. One, that over 90% of our debaters shared with us that they felt that there was an increase, right, an improvement in their critical thinking skills, their communication skills, their debate skills, their reading skills, which let us know that we knew debate worked. It was really having an impact on their lives. Now, I must say, I was a little interested when I saw this. There's a number up there. And it really spoke to our students' ability to see the connection between their debate experience and their academic experience. And after talking to our students and trying to understand, why is this number so low? They share with us, frankly, we just don't see it, right? This is an extracurricular and this is school. However, when we spoke to our coaches, we asked them the same question, that number was above 90%. Our coaches saw the impact that debate was having on their students' academic performance directly. So now we're working this year to ensure that students recognize that debate is just not this cool thing you do on the weekends, but it's that thing that helps you write the research paper quicker, right? It's the thing that you can rely on when you get to college. It's the thing that will help you land that job, maybe as the top lawyer. That is what debate can do for you. And then we all know there are also some non-cognitive things that students have reported. We know students have let us know that they feel a deeper commitment to being a part of the change in their community, wanting to be engaged in community advocacy, as well as being engaged in the political things that go on in their community. And I think that's really felt in the things that they debate about. Last year, students were debating on criminal justice reform. They were debating one another about cash bail, things that they can really see a change tomorrow if they decided to open up their voice or open up their mouths and say something. And our volunteers as well, we thought about the solutions, and as we were implementing them, we said, all right, how will this impact our program? And by the end of the year, we were really elated to see that over 345 volunteers served. And they gave us over 6,000 hours of their time. I mean, that's just amazing. Showing up weekend after weekend, spending full days with us, just judging, giving our students advice on how they can be better each time. And when we asked our volunteers about how they felt about their experience, they shared with us that they felt confident when they went to those rounds. They felt like they were making a difference. They could see the difference that they were making. And as a result, they said to themselves, I want to recommend debate to someone else. 94% of them said, yeah, I'll tell my mom, I'll tell my cousin, I'll tell my brother to come and debate as well. And because of that, we continue to have the ability to make the impact that we're making. And then our coaches, who shared with us the challenges that they were facing. When we started to survey them and try to understand how those solutions impacted their time, we learned that 100% of them said that our tournaments were organized. That was a hallelujah, okay, for us. Especially recognizing how far we had come, that they felt supported by the staff. 97% felt supported. They felt like they could call and we would be there. And that at the end of the year, when we look at that 95% coach rating, we know that, hey, we've done a good job. We know that the work that we're doing is making a difference. Now, traditionally, this is where we would end it, right? That's our data. That's how we did. Thank you. Hallelujah, right? But because of that student application, and because of the data we were able to collect, we're now able to see how our students are doing when they go into college. For so many years, we've been just relying on them self-reporting to us, and and that's what we have. And now we can go into that national clearinghouse and see how our students are doing. 60% of Chicago debaters enrolled in college in 2021. That's in comparison to 62% for CPS students, but 70% of our students went to a four-year college or to a four-year college or university. Now, if you've been doing this work for a while, this number is low. And most of the time, youth development organizations like ourselves boast numbers in the 80% range. And as we began to look at the national numbers, we recognized that in the pandemic, so many students, I think we lost a data, so many of our students decided to take a year off, that they have been through enough and they didn't want to do the debate. And we've seen that across the nation. So we're looking optimistically to being able to report next year that these numbers are much higher. Thank you. And ensuring that our students continue to show us that debate can change their lives. So you've heard enough from me. I want to kind of turn it over to you. I know I've said a lot. I hope I've piqued some interest. If there's any questions, I think we have a few more minutes to answer those, and then we'll continue on with the program. Thank you. Yes.
So you said you had 100% coaching coverage this year, which is fantastic. But how is your coaching outreach planned for next year? And what do you anticipate being needs that you didn't have this year that you'll have next year?
That's a good question. 100% volunteer need met. And so the benefit of the pandemic for us was we could get judges from anywhere, right? We could call them from California, New York, and Texas. As we go back to an in-person model, we won't have that as much of a benefit, but we've created a hybrid model so that we'll still be able to rely on some of our virtual judges to help fill the need. But we're also just going to make a really intentional effort to build connections and relationships in the communities that our schools are in, right? We don't want to just have folks traveling from one side of the city to serve another, but that if a school, I don't know, in Hammond, Illinois, wants to participate in debate, they can do it, and we have folks in Hammond who will show up and participate in that tournament. Any other? Did you have a question, Dick?
Yeah, but you sort of answered it a bit. I was wondering how you were going to make the transition back to real life. That is, since I was really impressed by what you said about the judges. By the way, when I was training them, I would have never imagined, 80% felt confident in what they were doing. When I saw them, they were maybe 20%. So I think you got some really good numbers there, but I was just wondering how that will, whether this will all go away when the pandemic does. I think you sort of half answered the question.
Yeah, we hope not. And I think we're, as an organization, we're investing in more staff to continue to keep up with our demand. We're also just making sure that we, again, diversify our pool for judges. But as we diversify our forums, we're thinking we can pull in more judges as well, because policy debate, as those who know, it can be a little terrifying if you've never really experienced it. Students are speaking really fast. These are topics that you don't know. But last year, students spoke about during the public forum debate whether we should reform police or defund police, right? That's a topic we've heard on CNN everywhere. So, the volunteer feels like, I'm not a deer in headlights. I can make a decision and feel confident in the decision that I'm making. So we're hoping that will help as well. Any other questions? I think we have a few more minutes, maybe one more. One more. If not, that's okay as well. Thank you so much for your time, you all. And now I'm going to have our lovely executive director take it over. Why don't you welcome Dr. Gunn.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I am going to do my best to use my outside voice since we lost power to our mic. We're working on it, though. But I'm so delighted to see all of you this evening. Thank you for joining us in person. It is long overdue, right? And so we're very excited to see you all this evening. As we think about why we're here today, this is a celebration. And so first and foremost, I just need you all to give it up to Chicago Debates for this 25-year history accomplishment. This is a big deal. It really is. And we have had a rich history over that 25-year period. Thank you to everyone, donors, our CPS partnership, everyone who has helped us to get to this incredible milestone. Now, as you heard earlier, having started in 1997 with our first program of 5 schools and 35 students, we have come a long way. We have since grown to pre-COVID over 1,700 students being served in a year from 90 plus schools. We have cemented the title of largest urban policy debate league in the country. And so we are very excited about that. The growth is really due to a few things. The addition of our middle school program, which was added back in 2008, that definitely contributed to our growth, along with the support that we've received from the private sector. That really helped to propel us to another level as we begin to get those corporate partnerships. Also, the introduction of our Make Room for Debate annual fundraiser. That is a huge success for us and generates a lot of revenue to support the student throughout the year. After 22 years of operating as the Chicago Debate Commission, in 2018, we underwent a rebrand and we renamed ourselves, or a name change, to Chicago Debates. And so we've gone through a lot. Anthony mentioned earlier about COVID, and so we will always, until we are dead and gone, we are going to remember this experience, right? We share it together, and we'll always remember the impact that COVID has had. But what we're going to remember here at Chicago Debates is how it pushed us to innovate and use technology to engineer new and different ways to virtually deliver our work, which I got to tell you, when I started in 2018 and was asking questions about virtual work, everybody looked at me kind of like I had an eye like right here in the middle of my forehead, right? And so just 2 years before, it was work that we didn't think was possible to do virtually. COVID pushed us to do that. And so we will always remember COVID for that and pushing us to be much more innovative. In our 25-year history, we have served, as you heard Yvette say earlier, 20,000 students and have plans to do more over the next 25 years. But we've got to start somewhere getting on that next road to 25. And so here is to the next 25, starting with the first 5. And so I'd like to share a few of the plans that we have in store over the next 5 years. And so it's no secret. It's not a surprise. Everyone knows that this is an amazing activity for students, right? It has an amazing impact, and we want to be able to do more. Like, no one has said do less, right? And so we want to do more. And so over the next 5 years, our goal at this organization is to serve 1,000 more students, getting us closer to 3,000 students a year. Now, a lot of things are going to have to change between now and that 3,000 in order for us to be able to accomplish that. First and foremost, we have got to, partner with more schools. We have to recruit more volunteers. We've got to recruit more coaches. We've got to double our staff. We've got to double our revenue. And so we have our work cut out for us, but we believe that it's possible. We believe that it's doable. We believe that you all will continue to support us and our mission. And so we are ready to take on this task of doubling what we have been doing for the last 25 years and being able to serve more students over the next 5 years. Now, reaching that 3,000, we've got a lot of plans in mind. But the first thing that we know, as you heard Anthony mentioning earlier, is the diversification of what we do and how we do it. So we know if we're going to expand our reach in Chicago or Chicagoland, every student does not have the same need. And so when we begin to talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, equitable programming, that means we've got to have something available for every student. And it's not necessarily policy debate. So in order to do that, we recognize that we have to change and appeal to testing. Mic check. 1, 2, 1, 2. All right. Awesome. Thank you, Tayo. That's good for a clap. Absolutely. But we recognize we have to continue to change in order to appeal to more students. If we're going to reach 3,000, we can't keep doing it the exact same way or one way. So that being said, we are diversifying our programming and our needs. And therefore, as you heard Anthony mention, we're slowly adding in new programming. And so the first of that being public forum, which we rolled out in a pilot last year. We're going to be rolling out a full season of public forum this year. And so we're really excited about that. And we are now rolling out speech. And you will get to see in just a moment speech in debate. The last thing I'm going to say, we're also expanding our camps, both in duration of time. So our camps have normally been a couple of weeks. Our camp this year, we're planning for that to be 3 weeks. And camp will cover policy debate, public forum debate, and speech all throughout that 3-week period of time. And so we're really excited about that. We've added a few things as well as we look forward. I was just talking with our longest tenured coach, Bob Edwards, about the need to absolutely give it up to Bob Edwards, who's in the room, 20 plus years of coaching. Thank you, Bob. But we were just talking about the need to have student-led programming. And so we're starting that as well, right? If we're going to serve 3,000 students, we need to make sure we know what they want, what they need, and have them a part of this, right? We can't just throw this on them. If there are any parents in the room, you know your kids do not want you making decisions for them. So we are starting that student-led programming with our newly elected student council. And some of you are in the room, can you please stand? Our student council members, give them a big round of applause. Awesome, thank you. We look forward to your leadership over the next year or however long it is that you are with us to help us figure things out and make sure that we are bringing programming that not only you want, but that is helping you to grow and develop as the young professional leaders that you will be. And lastly, we have a lot planned over the next 5 years in the community. And so we're thinking about, again, does this have to be only in Chicago public schools? Are there students in community organizations that can benefit from debate? So we're also going to be exploring community programming and what that looks like in terms of reaching more students, because there is no shortage of need. There are lots of students out there who can benefit from this. And in fact, no matter where I go and begin to tell people about this, if they don't have debate in their community, the question is, how do I get you all to do this in my school or at my community organization? So we will be looking at that, but we have a lot planned over the next 5 years. We hope that you will stay on this journey with us as we continue to support and serve our students. Now we have time for maybe a couple of questions if you all have questions. No questions?
I have one.
Yes.
Has any private schools reached out to you for, bringing that to the private schools as well?
So I wouldn't say anyone has reached out currently, but we have had such requests in the past. We used to have some opportunity that predates me that private schools were able to participate at times. And so again, when we talk about community programming, that is something that could fall under that umbrella. We're in some very early conversations with the YMCA about how we might be able to partner with them to be able to bring debate to some of their students. And so while these may still be Chicago students, they may or may not attend a Chicago public school, but they are still in this city and still in need in the same way of Chicago public school students. Other questions? Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Oh, yes, there's a question.
No,
Hey, dude.
When you talk about community schools, are you referring to within the city limits? Or are you thinking like Harvey and Farm Ridge and stuff like that?
We are undecided right now. Like it is just open. We just know that we've got to do more with the community. Right now, our conversations are with some folks in the city proper, but we don't know. We're open to seeing what that looks like.
And that could include people who are not in school even though they're great school age?
I know where you're going with this. Yes, it could be. It
You
absolutely
know me
could be.
very well.
I do. But no, we are open to those partnerships and being able to, again, this is an amazing activity that really is very transformational. We are, if you all didn't recently see, receiving some news coverage because the Supreme Court nominee, Judge Ketanji Brown, is a former debater, right? And so to be able to understand the impact of this activity, we really do want to be in a position to offer this to as many young people as we can. It doesn't mean we're going to ever stray away from our CPS partnership in that, but we are looking to see how do we support other students as well. Awesome. Well, thank you. I have the pleasure of bringing up Sanjani Makuni, who is our Black History Month Oratory Contest winner. And this, again, is kind of previewing for you our speech program in debate. And so, Sanjana, come on up. Anthony, can you tell them about how many students participated in this? And Sanjana is first place in that competition?
For sure. So as she comes, we were just highly blown away. Sanjani was our youngest participant. We had, I believe, 9 other speakers, and she literally blew us away. I was literally at my screen at home in my office just saying, this girl she better preach, but she did an awesome job. So I'm sure you're all going to be blown away. So pass it over to you.
Good evening. My name is Sanjana Makuni. I'm a 5th grader at National Teachers Academy. It's very nice to see you all today. Today I will be here to give my speech on Black History Month, and I hope you enjoy it. Black History Month celebrates the rich cultural heritage, triumphs, and tribulations that are an inalienable part of our country's history. There is no American history without African American history, said Sarah Kaplan, Executive Director of the Anti-Racist Research and Policy Center. The Black experience, she said, is embedded in everything we think of as American history. In honor of Black History Month, I've been most inspired by the story of Dr. Nelson Mandela. Dr. Mandela was a South African political leader, social rights activist, anti-apartheid revolutionary, and philanthropist who served as the first Black president of South Africa from 1994 to 1999. His government focused on dismantling the legacy of apartheid by tackling institutionalized racism and fostering racial reconciliation. He directed a campaign of peaceful, non-violent defiance against the South African government and its racist policies for more than 2 decades. In 1994, after Dr. Mandela was elected president in South Africa, Archbishop Desmond Tutu excitedly welcomed him to Cape Town and said, "One man inspires us all. One man inspires the whole world." And the statement perfectly sums up Dr. Mandela's life. He was truly a great person and an inspirational character. We can learn a lot from his life and quotes. The world will always remember such great people who have struggled for the betterment of the people. In 1993, Dr. Mandela was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his efforts to dismantle the country's apartheid system. For generations to come, Dr. Mandela will be a source of inspiration for civil rights activists worldwide. Our country has an extensive, long-standing problem with race, equality, and social justice. There's no denying that. Institutional discrimination has reared its ugly head in nearly every facet of society. It wasn't until the 1960s that outright discrimination was banned. But even then, our relationship with law enforcement and the justice system has always been fragile at best. It could arguably be said that within the House of Justice, our humanity was never a priority. Bad apples often come from rotten trees, and that tree in the United States of America is rooted in systemic racism, particularly when it comes to law enforcement that has roots back to slavery. The bias Black people often face is unfortunately as American as apple pie. The threat to the safety and overall well-being of our children is very much real. Change is happening, but not at the pace that is necessary or that is possible. We can feel optimistic and hopeful when we juxtapose the two truths in America. One is racism, and the other is millions of people in America and throughout the world are able to look beyond skin color and race. Youth and education are the two catalysts for social change. The youth have the spirit and enthusiasm. We just need to show them how. While one generation is getting older, we need the next generation to use their voices on behalf of our people and to bury the racist attitudes of the previous generation for good. Education is transformative and is a great equalizer. We need to bring education as a platform and harness its potential to the maximum. According to Dr. Mandela, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Perseverance and fortitude, these lessons from Dr. Mandela's trailblazing path are still relevant. Now is the time we need to regroup and reshape. This is not a time to retreat. We need to organize and develop better strategies to make the world better and safer for all Americans for generations to come. It is time to rise to the occasion for the children of color across this great country of ours. Only we can become the catalyst of change, because it is our attitudes that will bring the societal changes that will shape the America of tomorrow. Thank you.
Amazing! Amazing! Oh my God! Give it up! Oh my God! Amazing! Thank you. Thank you so much. That was incredible. Now, I just have to say this. I got my notes up here. How long was that speech?
At least 6 minutes.
Not a paper. Do you all see this? I am so impressed. I am so impressed. Thank you so much. You did an incredible job. And I will just say, don't you want other students to be able to have this, right? Like, this is such an opportunity. I have no doubt we're going to see her later in life leading some great change in this world. Thank you, Sanjana.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Oh my God, I am just blown away. I was traveling and unable to actually see the speech contest, and so I was a bit down about that, and I did not watch the recording purposely because I wanted to just see it today. And so I'm touched. I am, my heart is overflowing. I hope the same is happening with you all. I want to share a couple things before we wrap up here. We've got just a couple minutes. This is a celebration. It does not stop today. It started today, but we are going to be celebrating all through the year. I don't know how many of you celebrate your birthday like all month long. Any people like that in the audience? That is what we're going to be doing here at Chicago Debates. We are going to be celebrating all year long. And so we hope that you will join us along the way for some of these other celebratory events. And so April 26th, we are planning a public forum live. So if you're curious about what public forum looks like, we hope that you'll join us for that. We're hoping we might be able to be outdoors for that, but we'll see. But April 26th, we are also planning for a taste of debate in speech. July 29th and August 12th. That will coincide with our debate camps. And so if you're interested in seeing what that looks like, we're going to have an opportunity for you to do that. This summer, our associate board, Carlos, our chair, is back there in the back. We're going to be planning a trivia night along with an associate board fundraiser, date to be determined, but that is coming as well. And then the last thing that I want to share that I definitely want you to mark your calendars for. Many of you have been around for Make Room for Debate. That was introduced in 2012. We celebrated 10 years last year. Because of this 25-year anniversary, it will be a gala this year. And so mark your calendars for October 27th. We are going to get dressed to the nines. We are going to be at the Hilton on Michigan, and we are going to have a good time at Make Room for Debate. So mark your calendars for that. Thank you so much for coming out. We want to invite you down to our office if you're interested in seeing our actual office. And I shared with, was it you who shared earlier with that, we have really grown up a lot in 25 years. Dick Sullivan, one of our longest supporters, board members, all of that. Dick is all of that. Shared with me that we have in our history have either always used someone else's office space or we shared office space with our lovely partner at Nauto for a long time. We got our own apartment, y'all. We got our own space. And so if you would like to see how grown-ups live, you are welcome to come into our new space and check it out and see. We're very excited about it. Down on the 16th floor, we welcome you to take a quick tour. It's not really big, but it's ours. It's our own space. So join us if you're interested in seeing the space. We welcome you into that. But thank you so much for coming tonight. Thank you to all of our staff that made this possible. We have been working so hard. Why don't you all stand up for me? Welcome. Give our staff a hand clap. Thank you all so much. This was a very much team effort. We don't do anything around here without team support. So thank you all for helping. Thank you all for coming out. We have a few board members in the audience today too. If you all could please just stand for us board members that are in the room. Give our board members a round of applause. Carlos, stand. Did anybody leave? One of our other board members, it's okay. But thank you, everyone. We look forward to celebrating with you throughout the year. Have a great night. And thank you for joining us virtually.